Hello, y'all. How's your day been? Good, I hope. So, just to give a little background on why my life has been a bit troubled, goes way, way back. My dad was Navy, so he wasn't home all the time, but I was definitely a daddy's girl. On the other hand, my mom treated me like I was the fifth child and hated, even though she only had two children. She told me time and again how much she loved my brother, but couldn't stand me, basically. So when you grow up knowing your own mother doesn't like you, it really doesn't give you a whole lot of confidence. Come to find out, during my mom's early years, she always had really extreme mood swings. One day she'd be high and just be happy and everything would be perfect. The next day, she would be miserable, crying, threatening suicide. I mean, just the lowest of lows. It wasn't until about the year 2000 that she was actually diagnosed as being bipolar. Me, I just grew up knowing that, I could say one thing to my mom one day and it'd be fine, and I could say it the same thing the next day and all hell would break loose. So I never had someone I could talk to. My brother and I were kind of close, but not really. I was more of a nuisance to him than anything. Typical little sister. It was mom. Dad wasn't home. He was always out on deployment. And when he got out of the Navy, he was working, one or two jobs to support the family. So I didn't have anybody to talk to about anything, so I kind of just buried it all inside and hated myself. I had no self-confidence whatsoever. And it was that way for most of my life. None whatsoever. Things were at a point where I actually do not remember a lot of my childhood. I have blocked it out. I've seen many, many therapists over the years, and we talked about it, and we agreed that there was no sense in dredging it all up just to relive it and be hurt by it again, when I knew everything I needed to know, and it wouldn't have made a difference anyway if I knew everything. So we decided to leave it at that. After I got married for the first time and I was in counseling, I worked really hard on those issues. And even at that time, we didn't know she was bipolar, but I was able to work through everything and forgive her for my childhood. It wasn't perfect by any stretch, but looking back, I know she did the best she could. Knowing what I do now, I don't think she was ever fully kind of qualified to raise kids. She just didn't know what to do a lot of times. And that's because of her own issues when she was growing up. But she did the best she could, and I loved her for it. I learned a lot of things from my mom and dad. But the one thing I really learned from my mom was the kind of mom I didn't want to be. I wanted to grow up to be a mom whose kids could come to her day or night, ask or say anything in the world, and I would be as calm as possible and supportive. And that's the kind of mother I have always been. But it was definitely not pleasant in my mind. During my teenage years, things were extremely bad for me. And I attempted suicide a couple times. Mom kind of thought it was just for attention, but I really just hated myself and everything else and didn't want to be here. That was actually the first time I ever went into counseling, was when I was a teenager. Unfortunately, suicidal thoughts have plagued me for quite a few of the years I've been on this earth. Since, I guess, about age 35, I haven't had any kind of thoughts like that again, because I'm not going to let life break me. And I'm never going to let death take my life like that. So I picked myself up, brushed myself off, and I just keep going. So when you start life getting put down, and then that ends up continuing into adulthood, you hate yourself. You feel as if you're never good enough for anything or anyone. You feel like a constant failure. And that's how I felt. I loved my dad. He was, in my eyes, he was a saint for putting up with all my mom's bullshit over the years that she subjected him to. But like I said, I did overcome it and forgive my mom. And once that happened, we were able to have a much better relationship, instead of, broken and fragmented. We were able to actually be mother and daughter and relate to each other as not just mother and daughter, but as adults. And that was very, very satisfying to have that kind of a relationship with her that I had always wanted. I remember one time asking my dad why he stayed with my mom with all the things that she did and put him through. And he said, very simply, that he made a choice. He married her, and he made the choice to stay with her no matter what. It's as simple as honoring your word. And he knew she couldn't take care of herself in the real world without him. And I knew that too. But I always looked at my dad as a saint for staying with her. But she was beautiful. She was funny. But she could be very cold. And I've tried my entire life not to be that way. No matter what's going on in my life, I try very hard to smile and maybe give other people a little something that they didn't have before. You know, sometimes the smile you give is the only smile some people see for that day. And you never know what those people are going through and how much just a smile may mean to that person. So that's what I try to do. But I've really struggled with a lot of issues over the years, and it all stems from feeling not good enough for my own mother. But I'm here. I'm smiling most of the time. And I miss my parents very much. I wish I still had them with me. But we were all able to have great relationships in the later years of their lives. And I am extremely appreciative of that. My strength comes from my mom and my dad. Because there were times my mother could be strong as hell, but other times she was also weak as hell. So, that is just a little bit of the background of why I've struggled quite as much as I have. And I really want to make this clear. I'm not doing any of this and saying any of this for pity. I'm relating my story because I really hope that someone one day will hear it and find a little bit of comfort in the fact that maybe they've gone through the same thing I have and that they can overcome it as well. And if that happens, then it makes it all worthwhile. So I am going to go ahead and bid a fond farewell for the night. I love you all. I appreciate you all. And if you've watched this, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you again in the next video. So y'all have a great night. And I love y'all. Bye.